At Always Us Relationship Coaching, we believe that strong marriages are built on more than love. They're built on understanding, intention, and grace.
That's why we created the Blueprint course, a 6-week virtual group experience designed for engaged and married couples who want to grow, connect, and build lasting foundations.
In each session, we'll walk with you through essential topics like establishing healthy boundaries,
Navigating conflict with grace, not frustration, and deepening every kind of intimacy, emotionally,
spiritually,
and physically.
Whether you're preparing for marriage or strengthening the one you're in,
The Blueprint course is your next intentional step forward, together.
Join us and let's build something unbreakable. To start, visit our website at therestoringthebreach.my.canva.site.
Schedule your free discovery call today. Let's talk about where you are and where you want to grow. Thank you for that. Okay, I shared that.
You have entered the PM. Are we on? Oh,
We on.
We on.
What's up, guys?
What's up, y'all?
Welcome to the PM.
Welcome to the PM. I'm a parrot today.
It's good to be back with you guys, man. Back in the building. We're excited about another opportunity to just talk with you and have some dope conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We love doing marriage. We love doing relationship. So this concept of the pivotal movement and moment was for us to have a conversation and invite you in. So that's what we're doing today.
Yes. So if you don't know us, I am your host, Cache.
And I'm Greg.
I almost said,
We always go back to the Restore the Breach podcast,
where we specialize in unlocking the leader inside of you. Anyways, so we have some people in the studio because we needed a little help. We got our sons as our producers. They are going to be working the comments.
Working the ones and twos.
They are. So if you have anything you want to say, put it in the comments and they will tell us and we will respond because it was way too much to be trying to do all the things at one time.
Absolutely. If you tuned into the previous ones, you probably saw some of my hiccups.
We commented it late. We was like, oh, hey.
We finally got the mic on. But we're glad you guys are rocking with us, man. And this journey is a beautiful one. Today, we've been just talking over the past couple of weeks what we would talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we landed on a pretty solid one.
Yes. We want to talk about fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That is. But fighting fair.
Yeah.
Fighting fair in relationship.
Yeah, because it's inevitable.
Well, we've been doing this thing for 16 years. married, 17 together.
Say, you gotta add the 17. We fought a lot.
Well, that's
during the first year before we got married.
So we got to include that in the process.
We do.
But we've learned over this time, and some may consider us semi vets in the game compared to those that have been 30 or 40 years, where we salute you. But we got a little bit of weight under our belt.
Yeah.
And it's taught us how to navigate the conflict in relationship.
Yeah.
And, we're two different people coming into relationship, and anybody getting into marriage, this is probably the first nugget I tell anybody, even when we're talking to people, and when I'm talking to guys or she's talking to ladies, you're two different people.
Yeah.
Coming into a relationship, learning how to navigate life together.
Yes.
And so there is no switch when you walk across that threshold, jump over that broom, say I do all the I do's, that says we're going to connect on and in everything.
Oh yeah. A lot of people, there's a misconception there, because you are so, when you get married, you're so in like la la land for a period of time.
Euphoria, as we call it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah. It's part of it.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you start having arguments or difficulties, or things start happening, then it's like, man, this ain't working. But you don't really put together that you are two different people, and you are trying to build something. Shut up. What? I don't know.
No, you're just buffering. It's okay.
Oh, okay. You're trying to build something together. And so the only way to get to the next steps is, I heard somebody say something like, if you're in a marriage and you're not having like disagreements, then you probably aren't doing it right.
And there's degrees to that. People may argue that.
Yeah.
If you come from a very hostile, argumentative culture growing up, or wherever you may be, and then you get into marriage and it's like, oh, this is mild. Conflict may not seem like conflict to you.
Yeah.
But there are disagreements, there's conflict, and there are seasons of life that you probably just haven't faced yet that created the iron sharpen the iron, that put the fire to that really put you guys to the test in terms of your relationship yet. Yeah.
When we got married, we had some bad.
Yes, we did.
Bad arguments. Like, y'all see this now. This is years of building. But the best advice we ever got is always the first advice I like to give, is to talk about everything. Learn how to communicate, even the hard stuff. And I know that it seems like duh, but you would be so surprised how difficult it is for people to just talk and have conversation. And that kind of helps you when you're in conflict, but it doesn't really come as natural as you would think a lot of times. Like you're still learning that you're accepting everything about this person.
Man, I'm I always use sports stuff. So I don't care how skilled and a natural talent you are. Game time is a different speed, is a different animal. You're facing opposition you never faced before. So no matter how gifted in speech you are and conflict resolution you may be, when you're dealing with somebody on a one-on-one basis every day, day in and day out, it tests those skill sets. Now, there are some people that are very good at it, some people that are even killed and their temperament is right here and they can navigate it differently than others. But either way, I'm sure I would venture to say you can ask that person, have they ever felt like that has been tested? I'm sure on the inside,
100%.
They're jumping all over the place.
100%. Growing up for me, conflict, it's kind of weird because I had a lot of independent and strong women in my family, and they were not taking no crap.
Yeah.
Okay. So even the ones that were married, which was only like 2.
She got a bit of it.
First of all,
she don't
come for me.
Don't let Cache fool y'all.
I'm sweet, innocent, and kind. First of all, and so, and also, let me just say, as a believer, like I came into marriage, I had been a minister. I was thinking about this earlier. I had been a minister for probably like 4 years at this point. Like when we got married, because I was ordained young, so like 9.
18. Yeah.
and I turned 19.
Yep.
And so you think, he's saved, I'm saved, we're doing it God's way. This is going to be easy. And then you have the euphoric part of it that's just like, and we will get through everything, and I will always do the right thing, and I will submit when I am supposed to submit, and I will be quiet as the man of God. Like, you really believe these things. You think that you will be a certain kind of way, but you don't know what, like, in the moment, like you said, game time, you have no idea how you'll react. I learned, you'll hear me say it a million times, when you get married, it is a mirror. So I learned so much about myself when we got married, and it was really tested during, a lot of the arguments stem from that. Like, I learned that I was an angry person. I did not know I was an angry person because I wasn't really in situations, I guess, that made me angry. But now I'm with this person every single day, and stuff that was dumb was getting on my nerves. Like, Greg has allergies, and he was sneezing all the time, and I'll be like, "Would you please stop sneezing?" Like,
and what did you call me?
Tiny Tim.
She used to call me Tiny Tim.
I still do sometimes
because I'm sneezing. Like, I ain't allowed to sneeze.
Well, it was just too many sneezes at once.
Who's counting sneezes?
Me.
Oh man, are you serious? Really?
But so we had some really rough knockdown, drag out type of arguments and fights, like physical fights. Like, I can think of the worst fight I think we had. Can you think of the worst?
Yeah, because we're writing about it in our upcoming book. That
we're
going to
have a book coming out later. I don't know when.
In the future.
I don't know. It's a work in progress. We're doing lots of things.
I remember it.
But
you want me to
what is your? I want to hear your perspective.
Yeah. Oh man. And so, Cache was not responsible for all the disagreements. Let's make that clear. I'm
okay. Wait, I was
active listening. People, we'll talk about this as well. See how she's already processing before listening to all the details. This conflict, I played a big part in this, and I'm talking about the football game one. That's the one I'm referring to. Yeah. What were you going to talk about? New Year's?
No.
Okay. Well. Yeah, so
we had lots.
Yeah, so this particular one, and to be quite honest, I probably can't. I can't even till this day put my finger on what was bothering me specifically. However, it's a Sunday. There's a Steeler game.
It was Christmas.
Was it Christmas?
It was Christmas Day.
There's a Steeler game scheduled. We're getting out of service. I just want to get home.
No, you were cool with the stop. You were cool with the stop.
But we had plans to stop at her family's house.
Yes.
We go to her family's house. And at some point while we're over there, I'm just agitated.
He's ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I don't feel like on the inside I'm showing it, but what you feel on the inside has nothing to do with what your face and your body is demonstrating.
Yeah.
So clearly I'm demonstrating this because her family is joking with her like, hey, it might be time for y'all to go. Greg looks like he's ready to go. And so
they were seriously
serious. And then Cache jokes and says,
Greg will be fine.
Greg will be fine. So that right there sends me over the top on the inside. I'm like, she don't care about how I feel. What I want doesn't matter. She wants to control the every, and so I'm going to all these places and I'm snapping.
I know none of this.
Yeah.
That he's feeling inside. I had my own things I was feeling inside, but continue.
Yeah, I'm snapping. At some point, I was even talking to her uncle outside, and he's like, "Man, yo, calm down." Man. I'm like, "No, man, like shit."
Yeah, he said, "Let me go. Like, I'll go," because my family they love Greg. I do feel like they might trade me. Like, they really like him. So they were coming to me like, "Shay, I think Greg's ready to go," and I just kept being like, "Greg will be fine," because on my side, I had not seen my family in a long time. I was going through something too. And so I was very emotional. And so when I saw them all in one place, like, it is very rare that everybody's all in one place, especially like my sisters were there. Like, everybody's life is just busy. And so everybody was there. I was so excited. It was Christmas Day. Mind you, we see his family all the time because we're in church together. So everybody, he got his fill. I did not. And so I am enjoying my sisters and family. Greg wants to get home. He's ready to go home. He is like this after church anywhere, on any day still. He'd be like, okay,
I have a threshold.
you're better.
I ain't always
but
beeline.
he do be ready to
at that
go.
space and season of life.
He was
I
really
started
ready
making
to go.
beelines to the door.
He
so,
was ready
you
to
know.
go. I think that might have
Yeah.
been where it began.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying Greg will be just fine. Greg is getting upset. I finally mosey my way. We get the babies. I think we only have like 3. Do we have 3? We have 3
Yeah,
at
3
the
at the
time.
Yep.
And Greg, we are in the house and I sense the attitude. And I have an attitude. So I'm sure he's feeling the attitude. And we are making the food because we had celebrated the day before.
Hold on, this is my time. I'm telling my story. You
sorry.
You just dominated
My
the
bad.
conversation.
Sorry.
This is still my side.
Okay.
So, golly. So we're quiet on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing said. I get home,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so she feels that agitation
So let's take a
and says something. I don't know what was said at that point, but whatever was said. Do you remember exactly what was said?
No, I don't remember what was said.
But it got to us.
It got intense.
Yeah.
Greg, I think I was set off by then because I also was like, he don't care about me and my family. Now, y'all, none of this was talked about. This is all we're both implying that the other one doesn't care because we didn't talk about it. And so he doesn't care. He should know. We haven't seen my family, blah, blah, blah. So my middle child at the time was my son, Micah. And he's like near, I'm making the food.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a plate of ravioli. And Greg has a garbage bag or something. And something, this is where I say like one thing led to another.
Mm-hmm.
I smacked up the ravioli plate. It ends up
not out of Micah's hand.
No. It was out of
you knocked my plate out my hand.
It was for him though.
Yeah.
I remember him like it was for him.
Yeah.
I smacked the ravioli plate. There's the garbage bag. I think. Did you throw the bag?
No, we started wrestling and we fell on the bag. There were coffee grinds in the bag because the coffee grinds end up all over the floor. There ain't nothing funny about this.
It's not funny, but when I think about it,
there are pieces of this that especially in hindsight, looking back over it, it's extremely traumatizing.
Yeah.
Because our babies are witnessing this.
Yeah. Juliana is in a walker at the time.
So they're watching mom and dad fight.
Yeah. We're like
in the kitchen
fighting, like rolling on the floor, like somebody got suplexed.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it was me. I didn't lift him up.
That's not happening.
I got suplexed.
There's just I can't say nothing if you body me. That's like you lifting me up on a countertop.
I can't lift
feet
you
in the
up.
air. That can never happen.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
Yeah, so so there's a mess. We made a crazy mess in the kitchen.
Kids are
all
crying.
All of this is happening in front of them 3.
Yeah.
And so I remember
it was so messy.
I remember looking down and seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, did Greg say that immediately?
He was crying.
He was crying.
Greg is our oldest son.
Uh-huh.
He was crying, and I asked him why he was crying. I knew, but I wanted him to use his words to say. I wanted to hear it in his words what made him sad.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "I thought that you were hurt," and so that was traumatizing.
And as a man, this is one of the things, especially as a man who values my wife, and protects women. Advocates for women. Not only was it devastating that I allowed my emotions to get to that point where it became physical and I had no restraint, but I also set a horrible example in front of my children.
Yeah.
And the troubling thing about that is, and we talk about this all the time in terms of trust, trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets.
Yeah.
And I can't take that visual back from them. Over time, my goal is to demonstrate to them that daddy loves mommy. Mm-hmm. But there's still a piece of me that knows I can never get that visual out of their minds.
Yeah.
And
even
so
if they don't remember.
Yeah. So the impression was there. So that was the most traumatizing argument and conflict example of us not fighting fair in my mind.
Yeah. I can see that. And it really stemmed from the first thing we talked about, which was the lack of communication.
Yeah.
So we learned early to talk about the difficult things, but what we've learned over time now is how to talk about when it's starting to bother us. So if he had known that I was, well, first of all, I didn't have the words to say weeks ago, like, I'm starting to feel emotional. I don't know why. I didn't have the words when I got around my family to say, like, this is what I've been missing. He, when you're married, even though it's assumed that it's the two of you, it's like, we're together now, it's we, you are really learning how to become us. And so you are still two individuals. And so what we've learned over the years, and I will continue to give Greg credit for me learning how to actively listen, which is me listening without, and it takes work because I'm always thinking, I always got a plan, I always have words, always have me learning how to listen to what he's actually saying and not make him the enemy, which is a whole thing in itself. Like, he just wants to this. Like, sometimes I'll have to say, like, no, he loves me. He's not trying to attack me. And so that I can actually listen objectively like I would with somebody else. And so we both were on our own journey of what we were feeling, and nobody stopped and said, what the heck is going on? Like, why are you so upset? Why are you so upset? So that we can kind of come together and figure out, like, what do we need to do in that moment? So we just reacted, which is what often happens. Things get heated, nobody stops. It's interesting because the Bible tells us about being slow to speak, careful to listen, and stuff like that. And it says it, and we read it very flippantly, but it is a practiced, learned over time thing.
I'm always referencing the Bible talking about not being easily offended.
That's good.
Because when you take on that offense, it's, to me, it's it's one of the biggest obstacles of being able to actively listen. Because when you're offended, you're already processing responses, you're processing the other person's intent without them having,
they don't even have a say.
They're not getting
something.
They're not getting a proper trial.
Yeah.
And so I think about that. I think about that.
Words. You're guilty until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Like,
or you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
Rather than innocent
But here's the thing: if I feel like you're guilty, a lot of times, I won't even let you prove that you're actually innocent. If I've created a story within myself, and so I feel like that was so many years ago, and of course we've had.
Well, I wanted to say this part.
Go.
So fast forwarding, and you were probably going to get to this. So I'm creating this contrast between that scene with Greg and Cache versus what Greg and Cache is now.
Yes, that's where I was going.
13 years, 12 years later at that point.
Yeah.
Now we have things like code words.
Oh,
for us, we call them a unicorn moment. And so when we say that, this is saying, hey, can I have the floor? Unadulterated floor.
Yeah, let me say
and
exactly
undivided attention. Yeah. No response. Let me get this out.
Yeah.
Allow me to process it. And if you can hear it, and then you can give me your feedback.
Yeah.
And those are not easy moments, but it creates a space where it's like, I'm not catching you off guard with my emotions. I want to give you that alert says, oh, get into a certain mode for what I'm about to listen to.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually know. It could be something great. It could be something that's difficult to process. But you're giving your partner time to be able to have a moment to prepare. Okay. All right. Let's have a talk. What is it that you want to say? Can I listen to it intentionally and actively and then respond? And then we can have dialogue.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes in conflict, we're not having dialogue. We're not looking for this bilateral conversation going back and forth. It's unilateral. I want you to hear what it is I want to say. I want you to feel my pain. I want you to feel my frustration. And I want you to accommodate how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to have this. This is not a negotiation. This is you complying.
Yeah.
And when you learn in relationship, like, we need to be able to talk this thing out and find common ground. We saw somebody say, it may have been Tim Ross, or someone he had on his show at that time, that oftentimes in conflict, the conflict or issue is in between the middle of you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn in relationship that your spouse is not the problem.
Yeah.
There's something in
Unless they
between
are
you
the
two.
problem.
Well, unless they're the problem.
Sometimes it be sometimes
absolutely.
you be the problem.
Absolutely. And I think putting it in between us can help us identify the root of it. And then you can identify who's responsible for that, if in fact they are responsible. But if there's a wedge in between us, we have to say, yo, let's look at this thing together.
Yeah.
With both of our eyes, and let's try to find a way to capture this thing.
I'm looking at the boys because they look like somebody saying something.
Yeah. Mr. Dwight Jones said, I agree with what you both are saying. My wife and I just went through a very hardship in our marriage, but we kept faith, and it brought us back together stronger than before.
Oh, man.
That's
What's
good.
up, bro? Oh, I appreciate that transparency, man.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. You know what? It is. The thing is, in marriage, you are going to go through hardship. And I think that that's something that you kind of, you sort of accept, but you don't understand the depth of it until you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you oftentimes we're looking for resources, or we are not. We're trying to figure it out alone, how to, get back to how we were.
Yeah.
When in fact we are on a journey.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
We're not where we were when we got married. I could say now, Greg and I tell my friend this all the time. We really don't we have, I don't even know, we don't have fights now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a disagreement, but it's so spaced out a lot of the time because we talk well.
We
now.
still get on each other's nerves.
We do, but that doesn't, but it's not
no fight.
It's not fights. We were having fights when we first got married. When we were engaged, we were fighting a lot. When we got married, especially the first 2-ish years, we were really fighting.
She hit me upside my head while we was driving.
I didn't even get to tell my story yet.
Hey, and I'm telling you right now, she don't even know what she was mad at. I have no idea. We pulled up to the intersection.
Angry.
If y'all from Pittsburgh and you right on Route 51, right, Route 51 and Greenlee.
How you telling my story and I can't even tell my story?
We pulled up to the red light. Blow!
I socked him.
Socked me, bro.
I did.
I left her in the car.
He parked the car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Left the door open. He said, "You can have everything.
Yeah, you can take this car."
And he started to leave.
Yep.
And then I was like, "Where you going?"
Oh,
and so I'm chasing him down the street, and I'm holding on to the back of his shirt. And it's rain. It started to drizzle?
Yes, it did.
And I'm
it was like a scene in
to
Love
his
Jones.
shirt. It was.
Yeah.
Where you going? I socked him. I was angry about something, and he just wasn't even acknowledging whatever it was I thought he should have acknowledged. And I was so mad at that.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you probably the next week what it was. And I just swung.
An example of build up.
Yeah.
And I want to go back and piggyback on something Dwight said as I'm reading his comment. And he was sharing, how him and his wife were going through some hardship, man. I'm looking at that word faith. You said we kept faith.
Mm-hmm.
And we know faith is believing in something that you can't see. It's the substance of believing in something that you can't see.
Preacher.
And in relationship, even when you're actively pursuing natural resources like counseling and
which you should,
a
lot of people
therapy,
don't take advantage of that the way they should.
All of those are necessary. It still requires a measure of faith to believe it'll work.
Yes.
You can't see the outcome. You don't know that this relationship is going to work.
Yes.
But in the same manner that we believe that the old us dies when we give our life to Christ, it's the same when we're working this thing through marriage. Each and every day we're dealing with certain things and we're like, we have faith that it's going to work. We talk about this all the time. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I have the background that I have in terms of my experiences with seeing marriage. No matter what we went through, leaving was never an option.
Yeah.
I may walk around the block.
I always thought he was going to leave.
I may go sit on the
I would have left.
I may go sit on the stoop.
I was angry.
But leaving and walking away was never an option.
Yeah.
And I believe that kept me grounded. That was one of those things that the Holy Spirit always reminded me in times, man. God always was, she's getting on my nerves. I can't stand her right now, but I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I don't like this moment.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of people make some grave mistakes. They make lifelong determinations
Uh-huh.
that they regret based off of a moment of emotion.
Oh,
And that's tough.
that's layered.
That's tough because, at that time, using the example that we had, we didn't have any children at that point.
The Saucon one.
The soccer
Not
movie
the
did,
other
not the hit me in the head while we driving.
No, we ain't
But-
had no kids then.
There are folks that make choices that impact the future of your children. And this is not to condemn anyone that's been through tough times, man. This is just to create perspective
Mhm.
on how our choices in relationship
Yeah.
impact more than just us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like us making these choices to not communicate, to not love on each other,
Yeah.
doesn't just impact us, doesn't just put a wall in between us. Now it creates a cold environment at home that if you have babies, they feel that.
Yeah.
They see that.
Yeah.
They don't see the affection that mommy and daddy have. And then what does that do? That impacts them in the long run. They grow
Yeah.
up in a household where they don't see PDA.
Yeah. How do they, or anything? They don't see any interaction with their parents. So then when they get married, they are trying to navigate because they didn't have an example in front of them.
Absolutely.
And that's the stuff that we don't think about, even with the, the arguments and the stuff like that. But I really want to circle back to something you said.
Mhm.
The code word thing started because in our levels of learning communication with each other, we recognized that we needed to have something that made the other person be quiet and let the person fully express what they're feeling in that moment. Sometimes it's not about the conflict we're having.
Mhm.
It's just what I'm feeling in this moment right now.
Mhm.
But that doesn't happen if you don't create a space
That's
for
good.
that.
That's good.
If your husband, for instance, because sometimes, women, we could talk, but sometimes for men, it's challenging. If there's no safety created there where you are able to talk about how you really feel,
That's good.
if the things that you really feel are not used as a weapon towards you for later on, and that's why you blah blah blah, like that is not creating a safe place for him to be vulnerable, which is what you want.
That's good.
This is and what your marriage should have, a place of vulnerability for the both of you, because there's enough stuff in the world, especially for men, that is telling them not to be vulnerable, to be hard and this and keep it inside. And and the statistic of men dying early makes sense. There is no place for them to they're just bottling up all of this stuff, and you're taking all this stress on in your body. And so in learning communication, there will be levels. And it is important, ladies, for us to create a safe space for them to talk and be completely vulnerable about what they are feeling. Sometimes I still have to encourage Greg, because even with that, it's easy to go back to, no, it's good. What's the point of talking about it? Like, you need to get it out. Whatever's going on, what's happening at work, what's happening, with the family, what's happening inside of you. Why are you, creating a space for that for them? Well, also, it then gives liberty for you to also have that space, because then they know I'm safe to talk to you. You're safe to talk to me. And then you do eventually get to this space where you don't get as far as why I said, now we really don't fight at all. Actually, we may have an annoying moment, or we're disagree, but we catch it quickly now.
Yeah.
Like, well, what in the world is going on? Well, I'm just feeling like this. I'm sad because of that. And even for me, it took therapy for me to be able to pinpoint certain emotions because they're so balled up. I'm sad because this, I'm angry because that. And then you can then put whatever the thing is before you, so that you can figure out, well, what do we need to do here? Because something that was an issue that I had was, if I was frustrated about anything, I'd take it out on everybody. And I learned that with having children. And so it took practice and time for me to be able to identify what was going on with me inside, and then go, it ain't the kids' fault. They ain't do nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just because they get on your nerves. Now you're ready to just, and that's oftentimes what happens. You got stuff inside of you. You're not saying nothing. Just like that big Christmas fight was a great example. I had things inside of me. I'm not saying nothing. He has stuff inside of him. He's not saying nothing. And then it turns into this huge explosion that could have been resolved had we been able to pinpoint weeks earlier.
So what would that have been if we had unicorn moments back then?
Yeah.
If I was able to pause
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, pull her to the side at her grandparents' house and say, yo, I'm really frustrated right now. I don't know what's going on. Or maybe I would have had a word to say while I was frustrated, but us to be able to have a talk in that moment.
I don't even
And
know if it
connect.
would have happened. Because if we had unicorn moments back then,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been able to tell you before that I was feeling, because if that would happen now,
Yeah.
you would already know
Mm-hmm.
she is feeling sad and she misses her family. I'd have
Mhm.
had words for that.
Oh, that's good. We would have already had a talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. There would have been a conversation well before that. You would have expressed how excited you were to
Mhm.
go over there. What you may have, and I might have just been in my.
No, I didn't.
Okay, well then.
I know I didn't. I didn't have words like that back then.
But that shows this is all a part of healthy communication. And let me tear something down real quick with the concept of, because there may be somebody watching this now or in the future that hears stuff about men communicating and thinks the word simp.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna destroy that right now.
We'll destroy it.
We want to
Let
be
me
the
get my
leaders and the examples. Yeah, sip that non-tea. We want to be the leaders and examples in so many ways. We always want to be at the forefront. We want everybody to hear our words. We want to be the king of the jungle. But in terms of connecting with our emotions and expressing ourselves and processing and being nurturing, because nurturing is not simply a
term.
feminine trait.
Mhm.
That is
good.
such so misconstrued. Instead of understanding the key and the tools that come from that, we suppress it.
Mhm.
And we suppress it in how we connect with our spouse. We suppress it in how we connect with our brothers, because
Mhm.
that's important. I can't tell you how beneficial it is to be able to have conversations with some of my guy friends, man. And we're talking about the stuff that we're talking about right now.
Mhm.
And then the things that we glean from each other, because my guy, especially my boy Jimmy, love you, bro. We're talking about different things and he's expressing his love. And this is what I did for this holiday. You know what I mean? I was considering this. And I'm like, man, that's dope. If you're a guy that struggles with spontaneity and being able to think, talking with a friend that is good at it, challenges you,
Communication
helps you look a little more like, how can I tap
And
into that a little
community.
bit? You know what I mean? Community is important. So
Yeah.
let's knock that down. If you're a guy that never expressed emotion to your wife, let's stop that today.
Mhm.
That stops today. It's not something that you chew on and ponder for next week. It's not something that you keep in the back of your mind in that mental
Seem
Rolodex.
aggressive.
Oh, my fault. You know what I mean? I'm out because I want this to connect.
Baby steps.
My guys can connect with the ferocity,
Okay.
whatever word I want to think
Okay.
of. But I'm challenging the lion in
That's
you
good.
to find moments to be the lamb.
Aw,
I
like that.
may have taken that from my man Jason Wilson. I think he may have talked about lions and lambs, knowing how to turn on.
That's good.
Shout out to him. But learn how to utilize that. There are moments when the lion needs to be the lamb.
Mhm.
There are moments when you need to be the person that is still.
Mhm.
There's moments when you need to be the strong support.
Mhm.
There's moments when the pillar, the rock, is there for someone to lean on and not have the world on your shoulders all the time.
Mhm.
There's moments when you need to allow somebody else to be the pillar. Hence here. She has been a rock for me on so many occasions. There are life transitions that we've gone through.
Mhm.
And I've come in the house like, yo, I don't know why, but outside sitting there, I had a moment where I considered suicide. I don't know where that came from. Definitely a demonic spirit, because it cannot come from God.
Mhm.
But I contemplated that. And her being made aware of that and her paying attention to my behavior and maybe some of what might be my triggers allows her to be an accountability partner for me, a true accountability partner.
Yeah.
And how we walk this thing out. So let's kill that. Let's kill that. A guy talking and communicating, being a simp. That's not true.
Yeah. It's not true. That's really good.
Yeah.
I thought I had something to say, but I'm just sitting in that moment.
Well, you said something. I mean, you went right into it and encouraging the ladies on creating that space for men.
Yeah.
I truly appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
I
from
agree
me
with that.
to you, not just from what you're sharing with them, but I appreciate you being considerate and being conscious of that. Like, let me create this space where he feels comfortable with talking to me, because I think that's something that we both need. That's a part of us having a healthy lifestyle of communication in
Yeah.
marriage.
And then it teaches you how to be healthy with others.
Mm.
So there's everybody wants to be, my husband is my best friend, my husband is my best friend, and all of that. When my best friend confides in me, I never throw back in her face. I have multiple.
No.
I got a bunch of best friends. But when they confide in me, you will never find me throwing back in their face if I'm frustrated with them or whatever, what they said to me.
Mm.
We try to give each other the space. We always be like, girl, this is therapy. When we're talking, we try to give each other the space to talk, and we'll give advice and stuff like that. Something Greg started to do a couple of weeks ago is he said, we were talking and I was just venting. And ladies, sometimes you want to vent. You don't want no answers. You don't want no, they want to fix. We just want to say it. We don't be wanting to be fixed all the time. And he said, do I have permission to coach you? Which is good for us because we are both coaches.
We're coaches.
So we are always coaching people, whether we mean to or not. And so it creates this habit of us coaching each other sometimes, all the time. And, but, there sometimes could be this like conflict of like, I don't want that. And so he asked permission. And I was like, no, right? But inside, I started thinking about it like, man, that was nice. So we start talking. He's like, oh, well, I'm already coaching you. And I'm like, just go ahead. Because I couldn't tell him, like, yes, you could coach me. But it was still just nice to ask the permission because sometimes we just want to talk.
And that's hard for us.
Yeah. And another thing,
that's
real quick.
Yeah.
As ladies, we're saying create space for the men. I will also ask the men to give the space too. And don't look at your wife as she's nagging you if she's sharing a concern, but hear her heart.
That's good.
And what she's saying.
That's good. Man.
If she's continually repeating something, she's not trying to run you off or nag you. There's something that's bothering her and it's not being answered. And so a lot of times you will hear, oh, well, she just nagging you. She just, but if you stop and listen to what she's saying, sometimes you got to listen beyond what she's saying. What does she keep repeating? Why does it, what do I need to do? How can I help her in this moment? This is giving each other the space to communicate.
Ooh, let me put Coach Hat on real quick. Because some folks may hear this and say, I didn't sign up for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sign up to be a private eye.
Yeah.
I signed up to create a life with you, to walk this thing out, have children, build. But your internal work is not my responsibility and my internal work is not yours. And the reason I said I have to put my coach hat on is because we're passionate, very, very passionate about seeing people do life well. So if you just want okay, if you just want mediocre, if you don't want to go deep, if you don't want to see what the next level of that fire can be in your marriage,
if you want to be roommates,
then by all means, you can throw everything that we're saying out. That's perfectly fine.
Don't be great.
We talk about we talk about this all the time. You can have a 60-year marriage and it be mediocre.
Yeah,
you can,
or bad.
You can.
You just have the number under your belt. Nobody left, but it sucks and nobody's happy.
You can. However, it can be better.
Yeah.
It can always progress.
Yeah, it should.
It can always develop. And so that's what we're really passionate about. So, when we're talking about these things and we're throwing these nuggets out, grab onto them. The spaces that make you feel uncomfortable, lean into that.
Even by yourself. Start by leaning in alone.
Yeah. Take personal.
Like I said, I didn't have words for lots of things. I had to start leaning into difficult, like uncomfortable moments, which came through therapy. It taught me that. And I didn't know I had those tools until it was over. And then I was by myself because she said, you got the tools. And I was sad. And, but I realized I did have the tools. I had to start leaning into what I was feeling. I had to start naming what it was. And then I invited him in to that space once I started to get. And I also invited him in and said, I don't know quite what this is either. I don't know what this is. Some things were digging in the past. Some things were things that were deeply rooted in me growing up and stuff like that, that I was learning to kind of pull up, and recognize it wasn't him at all. And the anger that I had nothing to do with him. He just was the closest thing to me who just kept sneezing all the time.
Come on, man.
And you're about to get this work if you come in here being dumb. And so instead of being able to say, there's something that I'm dealing with, that I'm struggling with, that I just need some time. I need to talk. I need to speak to it. I need to, and so as I over the years invited him into the space, now he's like, well, what do you need? How can I support you? And then I am like, okay, something's going on with you. What do you need?
Yeah.
How can I support you? Which is why we don't fight. So even if we're getting on each other's nerves, it is a quick turnaround because we are really good friends. We care about the other person.
We gotta watch these shows together.
I don't have time to be
what I mean?
annoyed, and I have something to tell him because he's my friend.
Yeah.
One time, y'all, I was so mad. I was irritated with something he did. I don't know what it was, but I had lost one of my rings, and I couldn't find it for like 2 years, like one of my bands. And when I found it, I couldn't stay mad because I needed to tell him. I was like,
not that.
And then I called him. I got to tell you something. And then I remembered I liked him. And then I told him, and then we started talking, and it was done. Whatever it was, But this is years of work and communication and understanding, and us deciding we are choosing to stay here, because this is another thing. Some people just stay. And I said this, and this was probably about 5 years ago. I thought this. I was watching another marriage, and it was really sucking. And they had been together for a long time. And I was like, I'm not trying to be married to somebody for 30 years, and I hate it, and it sucks. So I need to make a decision about what I'm going to do. Because if I'm doing it by myself, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be here miserable for 30 years. I didn't want that. This is where the always us term came from. It was like, are we doing this for real? Like you will find, as the longer you're together, you have to keep saying, I do.
That's good.
It is not just the first time at the altar when you don't know what you really saying, I do to.
Oh, you don't know what you signed up for.
You have to keep saying, I do. And it's like, are we really doing this? Okay, well, how do we do it well then? Because I don't want to be in a marriage for 30 years and I hate it and I hate my life and I'm not fulfilled and you're not fulfilled and we just here and it stinks. That's not what God wanted when he ordained marriage.
Yeah.
So how can we be better? How can we become better? How do we get through this difficulty? Even if it takes time, even if we got to get coaching, if we got to get therapy, if I need to go alone and then you need to go, then we need to come together. Like, what are we doing? Because I'm not going to be no roommate and miserable. What's the point of that?
You said something that I'm gonna get real churchy here for a second.
All right.
So I'm thinking about what God's original intent was. You know, he put man in his presence, which is what Eden was. In his presence. That's the starting point. He created this institution called marriage. Said it wasn't good for man to be alone, even amongst all the animals. So anybody who wants to practice bestiality, I'm sorry, that the animals were there and God said this doesn't work. So let's cancel that.
They were not a suitable helper.
Not a suitable helper. Created a woman for him and said this is good and said be fruitful and multiply. So what my visual from that is, man, God wants the marriage to be in his presence and he wants us to multiply that.
Yeah.
What we create in our home, he wants what fruit comes from this beautiful relationship where we invite him in, where we walk with him together day in and day out and multiply it in our children, multiply it in our work, in our community, multiply it as we're operating in our gifts. But what comes from this union should be multiplied. And God calls that thing a beautiful thing. That was his original intent. He
ain't like make 8 marriages and everybody hates each other.
Oh man.
That doesn't The number means nothing.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. I don't care if you were married for 40 years. If your marriage is terrible, I'm not taking advice from you. Your marriage is not healthy. It's not good. I don't care if you stayed for 40 years. If it's unhealthy, it's unhealthy. And I just didn't want that for myself. And seeing God with us up and down and everything that we've been through and how he's been constant and teaching us things, it just encourages me to want to share that with other couples so that they can experience the fullness of what God actually has for marriage. You don't want to get married just to have the title. This ain't no green card situation. Like, this is not no mail order bride. We want to be married because we desire that lifelong companionship. And so I know that most people are not signing up for it to be horrible. But you just didn't anticipate the amount of work that it would be.
Ooh, that's good.
And it is work.
That's good.
And it is dedication. And it is constant recalibrating. Where are we now? What's happening to you now? What's happening to you now? What's going on in our life now? It is a constant journey of hills and valleys. But if both of you guys are committed to working it, it will work. And it'll be beautiful. There was a time when Greg, he was laid off. He wasn't working. I wasn't working. I think we had 2 kids at the time. And stuff was crazy. God was faithful, but things were crazy and money was crazy and all of that. And we made up this song. I think I started singing it. You remember? It's Gonna Be Okay. It was a reggae song.
Yeah, I remember.
I started singing it. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. No matter how it goes. It's gonna be okay. And we just started and we just was singing. Yeah. It was just a moment of like us being like we're gonna do this. Yeah. We're gonna do this. Yeah. And I don't want it to suck. And I hope you don't either.
That's good.
But it's gonna be some work. And there's lots of beautiful moments. There's a lot of difficult moments. Life is changing. It's true, man. But people don't, like, you say it flippantly, but it's a real thing. Yeah. It will. And if you need help, we'll coach you.
Come on, we said it before. What better gift can you give yourself than to have us? Now, we talked about this, and we'll close as we close out. Sound like a church service, like a benediction.
7th benediction.
We're running ad at the end of this, man. We're putting some information in there about what we offer, and the excitement that bubbles inside of me when we have a chance to talk to people is it's unfathomable. It's hard for me to explain. Because we're literally watching God restore. So we have the anchor sessions and we have the blueprint course. The anchor sessions is if you want one-on-one conversation with us,
dealing with a specific things
like that you want to tackle in your relationship. Yeah, that's what we do with our anchor sessions. If you want the blueprint course, you want to come into a group environment with a bunch of couples. You heard us talk about community. We value it so much, and so what we do over a 6-week time frame is we have a whole process where we walk you through a lot of the stuff we talked about today, how to fight fair in terms of healthy communication, setting those boundaries, being able to say, this is us against the world. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Not
and
me
so
against you.
Come on, man. So all of these things, these components you found within that, connect with us. Yeah. Allow us to have an opportunity to come into this journey with you, partner with you, and watch your relationship go to the next level. Again, if you want it to go to the next level, you want to put in the work.
You got it. Yeah. Because it's not going to work if you're just listening to us tell you what to do. You have to actually do it.
Absolutely.
And I will be TC and say this. And if we're not your fit or your cup of tea, there are many. God has blessed many people to have the gift of, man, my therapist was a gift for me. She carried me. She helped me through a lot. And I found out later that she was a believer. I did not know when I signed on with her that she was. And then as we began to talk, I'm like, wait a minute. And she was such a gift in my life that has helped me to become even more of who I am now. There is a gift in therapy and in community and in coaching. So if we are not, you're a fit for you, or if we know you and you're like, I don't want them to know my business, Cool.
Or maybe we do and you want us to know. It's
Maybe you
okay.
want us to know.
Maybe that'll make it more
but
personal.
there are
for you.
people
Absolutely
everywhere.
The key is, just as in the example that Shay is using, the key is that your relationship blooms and blossoms.
Yes.
That's what we want. We celebrate it whether you allow us to walk with you or you go and get it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But what we want is for you to do relationship well.
Yes.
So check out our site. Look at what resources we offer. Man, go follow a handful of our podcast episodes. We got links on there to all of the different outlets. If you want to watch it on video, it's on YouTube on the Restoring the Breach page. If you want to listen to it, it's on Spotify and Amazon Music. You can play it while you commuting back and forth from work. It's available. We have friends that have screenshotted their radio screens like, bro, we listening to it right now. Come on, man. And if you're doing that, then tag us. Post a picture of it. It encourages us. We love to see we're making impact and spread it to the world.
Yeah.
All right. So we love you guys.
Is there any comments or anything?
Yeah.
One more.
We got some.
White Jones says, amen. Marriage is work, dedication, and loyalty, but mostly everything works out when you put God first.
Come on, bro. You preaching, man. Let's go. Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. We talk about that all the time. And we mentioned it a couple times today that there's a cap. There's a cap when you omit God. There's a limit in how far our understanding and our giftings and our speech can go. Sometimes there's deeply rooted things in us that we can't reach. And we say, God, I need you to help in this space that I can't reach.
Cheat code, the secret sauce.
Come on, man. Not the last resort, first resort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is beautiful.
Yes.
We love connecting with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, first and third Tuesday of every month, we are back at this again. All right. So take care and God bless.
Hey, before you go, make sure you subscribe and like this video.